Appreciate it. John Gruden was great. That is Todd Bowles, the Bucs head coach, on Jalon Daniels, who got into the game on Saturday night. Buccaneers were down 9-0, and he fueled a second-half comeback. Threw a great touchdown there to Ko Keefe. I thought that was outstanding. Rolling to his right, showed some arm strength, and he put the ball in the only spot where his guy can catch it. He did a great job of managing the offense. There's certainly a lot that he can do that Jake Browning can't do. Let's be honest about it. And you heard John Gruden mention, you know what? Even though he doesn't have experience, that's a guy who probably should be the QB2. And at first I was like, okay, he's doing really well. I would defer to the guy with the experience in his corner and Jake Browning. But after the second preseason game, I'm more open to it now. I'm more open to Jaylen Daniels possibly being the backup. And look, let's be honest, okay? With the exception of maybe one or two teams in the NFL, if your starting quarterback goes down, you're done. Like Mac Jones is the backup still in San Francisco behind Brock Purdy. I mean, that's only one of the only scenarios that I can think of where a starter goes down and you at least have a chance because of how well Mac Jones has played once he, got away from the team that originally drafted him. You get with a guy like Kyle Shanahan who understands offensive football better than almost anybody outside of maybe Sean McVay. The guy, I think, is a really effective player. And if Purdy goes down, maybe he steps in and you don't miss a whole lot. If Baker Mayfield goes down, you're looking for the guy that can possibly give you a chance. And I'm starting to come around to the belief that even though he's an undrafted free agent, the more you see of Jalon Daniels, the more you like him because you can expand the playbook when he's in the game. You can move the pocket with him. You can run a little zone read. You saw that at one point. You can expand a lot of things, and the off-schedule plays that he makes, extending plays with his legs, finding receivers down the field. I mean, that's a weapon that a defense has to account for. Puts a lot of pressure on a defense when you have a guy who can do a lot of different things and beat you in a lot of different ways. So I was super impressed with Jalon Daniels, and I think at this point, barring an injury or him completely falling off the cliff this week in the joint practices against the Jags in the final preseason game on Friday night, Jalon Daniels is well on his way to being the backup quarterback behind Baker Mayfield. And I never thought I'd hear myself say that, but he has proven to be like the higher upside play, and he's proven to be the better player. Let's be honest. Forget about experience. If you just discounted experience and you just put one guy up against the other, Jalon Daniels has outperformed Jake Browning in my estimation. And Browning wasn't, terrible. He got rocked in that one play and had to come out because the official said, you got to get checked over. But he came back in. Browning was 8 for 11 for 84 yards. But Jalon Daniels, between going 9 of 14 for 71 yards and one passing touchdown and the decisions that he makes with his legs, rushing for 19 yards, extending plays, just putting a lot of pressure on opposing defenses. I like what I see out of the kid. And he, to me, was one of the biggest stars of Saturday night. I thought Anthony Nelson was outstanding. You heard John mention, Ruben Bain. And look, there were a couple of times where Ruben Bain dropped back at the coverage, and he showed that he can do that. He can play in space. But I want Ruben Bain with his hand on the ground, like getting after it. And the hump move that he put on, and that's a Reggie White thing. And John was right. And John was an assistant way back in the day when Reggie was with the Packers. That was the biggest free agent signing. When free agency became a thing in 1993, that's when free agency opened. Before then, they had something called Plan B free agents, which wasn't really free agency. But Reggie White back at the time, along with Freeman McNeil, they were the guys, the pioneers that opened the way for true blue free agency. And in 1993, the first year free agency, the biggest fish was Reggie White. And he went from Philadelphia to Green Bay. He ended up winning a Super Bowl. But Reggie White was known for that big hump move, the club move, where he would take his right hand, and I saw him do this to so many old linemen. And the most impressive thing that I've ever seen from one pass rusher, what one pass rusher did to one old lineman is he did that move one time to Larry Allen, who I think is one of the best offensive linemen ever. Reggie White did that club move, that hump move on Larry Allen and totally put him on his ass. And I'll never, ever forget that. Reggie White, one of the all-time greats, but you saw Ruben Bain do it, and he's done that in training camp. He did that to Lou Gedeke a couple of times, to the point where Gedeke's walking away from that drill, kind of shaking his head. But I would much rather see Ruben Bain put his hand in the dirt and just go after the quarterback as opposed to him, dropping into coverage every once in a while, And look, I get it, the scheme of the defense, that's probably going to happen once in a while. But listen, if you're the Bucs, man, you have to utilize their players to the best of their ability. And for Ruben Bain, is putting the hand in the ground and getting after the quarterback. And in limited action on Saturday night, he looked really impressive. So did David Walker. I mean, that spin move that Walker did was outstanding. The Bucs have a lot of depth at that edge rusher position, to the point where, let me ask you this. Does Chris Braswell have any college? You have all these college guys, these NFL guys want to go back to college. Maybe Chris Braswell could go back to college, I don't know, to make a buck or two. Is that?
No.
What?
You insulted him a little bit.
I'm just saying.
You're just trying to stir shit up.
Well, a little bit. Maybe he could go back. I don't know. Because he's not making this team. I don't think so. 888-388-0957. So the Bucs have to carry 3 quarterbacks. You got to do it, which means one less position player at, another position, maybe one less inside linebacker, maybe one less defensive back. And we know cornerback is, an uneasy position right now for the Bucs. Zion McCollum played on Saturday night. I mean, even after Todd Bowles said he wouldn't play, he did play, which I thought was interesting. Good for him. Benjamin Morrison, who knows when we'll see him. But the corner position is probably a position where Jason Light and Todd Bowles may have an eye elsewhere. But Jaylen Daniels has made this team. I think Aiden Garnes has made this team as well. You got 2 undrafted free agents making your final 53. That's unreal. You sign a whole bunch of these guys. You don't expect many of them to make your final 53. They're most likely practice squad candidates. But it sure as heck looks like 2 guys who are undrafted are going to make the final 53, and that's Jaylen Daniels and Aiden Garnes. And you know what? They deserve it. Those guys have balled out all summer long. Those guys are in. And the only question is Jaylen Daniels, is he QB2 or is he QB3? Because he has made this team. There's no doubt about that. Now, the other thing to watch for is this. You saw Josh Williams. He got a lot of snaps as the third running back behind Bucky Irving, who started, and then Kenneth Gainwell with Sean Tucker coming in behind him. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then you saw in Vegas over the weekend, Ashton Genty went down with a leg injury. Looks like it's a high ankle sprain. So don't be surprised if John Spytek calls Jason Light, and those two talk all the time about a lot of different things because they're very close friends. But Sean Tucker and the Buccaneers gave him that restricted free agent tender, which was a little bit more than you would see for a backup running back, too. Don't be surprised if the Raiders and Bucs start talking, and if the Bucs feel confident enough about Josh Williams being running back 3, it may very well make Sean Tucker expendable. And if the Ashton Genty injury is more of a long-term type of injury, the Raiders could be looking for another running back. And look, familiarity, guys. Connect the dots. Spytek was here. He knows Sean Tucker. He understands how good of a player he could be. It would be a really good insurance policy for an Ashton Genty. I know they have Malik Washington Jr. as well in that backfield, a rookie. But Sean Tucker, more of a veteran presence, a guy who has done it when given an opportunity. Keep an eye on Sean Tucker. I think Bucs, Raiders, I mean, there could be something that could be happening there by the final cutdown date this weekend because you have to make some tough decisions. If you're going to carry 3 quarterbacks, that means, one less guy at another position. There could be a trade to help out. You might be a little thin at corner. You appear to have some pretty good depth at running back. So there's going to be a lot of roster shuffling. Just keep an eye on Sean Tucker with the Raiders possibly looking to add another running back. All right, coming up just after 3 o'clock, Ken Hagan, Hillsborough County Commissioner, will join the show. Big week for the Rays and their Forever Stadium. Will it finally get past? We'll talk to the Hitman at 3:05. Speaking of the Rays, when we come back, is there concern about the Rays right now? Up and down weekend. They got saved yesterday by you-know-who. And who needs to step up in a big way tonight when they go to Detroit? We'll talk about